Women Innovators. Interviews with women with big messages and big missions, sharing their stories to inspire you to live your passion and step up to make the world a better place. Here's your host, Tammy Patzer.
Hey everyone, this is Tammy Patzer, and I'm really excited to introduce today's guest, CLAUDIA Michalik. She has such a phenomenally interesting background, so I want you to lean in and listen to this conversation. Now, listen to this. She actually has a background as a biomedical electrical engineer. Okay. Today, she works with people to help them with their mind, body, spirit. And think about it. If she has that background as a biomedical electrical engineer, she probably has a big idea about things like quantum physics and how the universe works and all the science behind how we operate as souls and as spiritual beings. So I'm going to get right into this interview and let CLAUDIA tell you more. And here's some of the things that we're going to cover. We're going to talk about transformation and how you can tap into your internal GPS, a little bit about universal laws, law of attraction, things like that. And then CLAUDIA is going to share how she came to become the person she is today. And just to give you a little insider, her website is Feel Perfect Health. So think about it. Feel Perfect Health. Welcome, CLAUDIA.
Oh, thank you. What a wonderful intro. Greatly appreciate you.
Well, I'm excited because you know how people say it's not rocket science and it's not science, but it is. The more I study, the more I realize that we are truly, truly connected to the source and that a lot of it can be explained through science. And of course, that seems to be what most people like to rely on because they know that if it's been scientifically tested, that it must have some truth behind it. But again, that's a whole nother story. Tell me more about you, your background, and how you came to really focus in on the transformational work that you do today.
Oh, it's been a journey. It's hard to believe. But I started as an engineer in the diagnostic industry. I worked for GE Medical, and seeing so many, from children to the elderly, just suffering and ending up in hospitals and needing all these procedures and with all these illnesses, it kind of forced me into going into prevention, and it guided me towards becoming a certified health coach. And so I was all about the body and nutrition and how the body works together and applying all that kind of like mechanics. I'm a mechanic. I look at the body like a mechanic, and like, what do we get to run this vehicle? And then I kind of stirred into how the mind has a lot to do with how we manifest illness and how we manifest our circumstances. And then I decided to have kids. I got married and I had my 2 boys, and I was in my pity party, lack of sleep, because one was 3 to 4 and the other one was 1.5 and 2, and you're just like there on the couch. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of moms out there that can relate. They're just like, did I sign up for this? I mean, I did all this education and here I am just being a mommy and can't sleep, can't think straight. So I was on the couch just wondering what was going on here and how did I get here? And that's when my son, he kind of came up to me one day and he was like, Mommy, I could make myself blind. And I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like ready to call the pediatrician. And he just blinked and I'm like, well, are you blind now? And he goes, yeah, but I could see the colors. And I'm like, what do you mean? And he says, well, Mommy, you're this color and Michael, my brother, is that color, and it's really beautiful. And I'm like, wow, okay, this was weird. Up to that point, I thought that was woo-woo stuff. And so I started experimenting with him, and a shaman approached me, and he said that I was meant to mentor under him. And, if it wasn't for my son, I wouldn't have given myself permission to even consider that. And having him as my little litmus paper at home, I gave myself permission to just play with that idea. And the more I got into it, the more it applied to physics and quantum physics. And really, it's a whole new perspective. And it really opened up my this journey for me, and it's been incredible. It really does tap in. I had ignored that spiritual aspect of myself, being so analytically trained and scientifically trained, and I opened up that whole aspect of it. And I've crossed over and drank the Kool-Aid.
Well, I think science and spirituality actually go together. I mean, I think even Einstein pointed that out. You talk about how to connect to your internal GPS. What do you mean by that?
I thought it was kind of cute. Everybody loves their GPSs, and we kind of relax. We're just like, we'll wait for the GPS to guide us, turn left, turn right. But for me, the internal GPS, I kind of coined the phrase, it's your goddess power system, or goddess your internal goddess power system. And it's being able to connect to that higher self of yours, that soul level, that whether you want to call it universe or source or God.
Divine.
Yes. And when you have that connection, you get tapped in and turned on and plugged into your intuitiveness and that knowing. Sometimes you're like, I just know. And that's what it is. And we all have these gifts, we all have these abilities, but we're so in our heads, we forget that we have this whole amazing aspect that has such a higher vantage point. It sees a whole hell lot of better than what we can see with our five senses down here. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So when you tap in to this, your goddess power systems, do you have any like I always like to give listeners some ideas and tips about, well, how do you do this? Do you have maybe one or two ways that someone could just kind of tap in that so that they could test it a little bit?
Definitely. Meditation, exercises like Tai Chi and yoga, that's a very physical way of creating and connecting to a Zen type of mindset, becoming mindful, doing affirmations, doing positive work, surrounding yourself with people that are going to support you in this staying positive mindset. So for me, the biggie was meditation and mantras and just playing around and connecting with that childhood side. I had my son, and I had no, as a mother, well, that's what we get to do. We get to play and believe in that new perspective. I mean, nobody taught these babies how to do things, and they're just creating and recreating. And what is this for? Maybe it's not for what I thought it was for. And so it's just creating a new perspective through opening up your heart. So opening up your heart, understanding that we are more than just a body and a mind, and creating that possibility, that space to open up to those new perspectives and possibilities.
I know some people, when you talk about mindfulness and meditation and children, people say, well, how do I meditate when I have all these distractions? I have, I do have my children, or I have, my mind, all of a sudden I go, oh my God, I got to do the dishes. Oh, I forgot this, or, oh, I need to go to the grocery store or work, do you have to be like 100% like focused to get the benefit of meditation?
No, that's the beauty of it. I mean, you could start with a hobby. If so many people is like, well, I got too many things in my mind. There's no way I could rest. So I say, well, what hobbies do you like to do? Any hobby that kind of gets you into that zone. Athletes like to call it, I'm in the zone, and it's kind of that. So when you're in the zone, you could be an athlete and just focus on that, because when they're in that zone, that's all they can think about, and they're disconnected from their mind, and they're totally focused at that present moment, the now, and that's the trick. So painting, music, playing your instruments, and wanting more of that. So when you want to engage with meditation, maybe at first you could only do 5 minutes, but that 5 minutes, you're like, well, I got a little better, and you could extend a little bit more. It's funny because one of the best places I meditate is while I'm driving. And it's not that I'm not paying attention to the road. That's kind of like an automatic. You use different parts of the brain. So believe it or not, there's a lot that can be going on and still be mindful about the driving and actually find a space where your mind is cleared and connecting to that other aspect of you.
The other day, I actually made banana bread for the first time. It was like, I was thinking, gee, what do I like to do that I never do? And one of them was cooking. And I was at church and they were giving away these overripe bananas. And so I was like, I've never made banana bread. And I happened to pick up a bundle, and this woman walked up and she says, oh, go online. There's this really good recipe called banana bread. And I looked it up, and I went to the store and I got some flour and some salt, things I did not have at home. And I ended up making this big loaf of banana bread. And it was very therapeutic. So it doesn't have to be formal meditation. It could be as you do something else, cooking or gardening or even cleaning, or like you said, driving. I think that's a really important, and I'm glad that you mentioned that, because it makes me realize that when we say we don't have time, we really do have time, because we can be doing something else and actually be meditating or relaxing in a way that we're opening up to the source, universe, divine, whatever we'd want to call it. So you do Reiki, you have workshops. Tell me more about how you work with people.
I'm currently getting certified to be a transformational trainer, so I'm looking forward to having bigger workshops and reaching more people at the same time. I do one-on-ones. I love creating Reiki healers, because becoming a Reiki healer means that you've chosen that perspective or that mindset, that means that you're believing that you're more of a lighthouse, you're more of an energy source than you are a human. You're a spiritual being having a human experience, and you're choosing to be the light. You're choosing, like Marianne Williams is talking about in her poem, Their Greatest Fear, and how we're just afraid of how bright we can shine. So I love creating lighthouses, because human lighthouses, because they make a commitment to want to keep self-cleaning and becoming as bright as they can. And when you're spreading that love, which that's all it is spreading love. Like when you made your banana bread, you were pouring your love into that, because you were happy and you were going to share this with people that you love. So that's what we do. We just start spilling over. We fill ourselves up with that source, because that's what Reiki people do, is that we get attuned or calibrated like a satellite dish or a radio, and we can transmit that source love, that source connection. And that's why we have the hot hands, and that's the whole concept of Reiki. And that brings a change in them. So I really love doing that. I love seeing how people change when they've created that new mindset. I was like, this is what I'm going to be. I know that I'm energy. I know I'm light. I know I'm love. And I'm here to make everybody happy. I'm here to make myself and the world happy. And I see that a good way to change the world.
So you actually work with people both in person and virtually, like, for example, through Zoom or Skype or through some other means. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, I can work via Zoom. I do a lot of sessions via Zoom. I have couples that come for counseling. I have people that are just trying to find what's missing. What's that thing? Why are they so, and why do they feel lost? Everything they've been doing is right, and now they just don't know what the next step is or what's wrong, what's missing in their life. So what's their purpose? What's their meaningful? So it is what it is. I meet them where they are, via Zoom, on the website, on the phone, or in person, and we take it from there.
I think that's really cool. That's one of the benefits of the world we live in today, is that we are not limited now by proximity or location. We literally can reach out and touch people around the world as long as they have some type of a device, and they've proven that people in the most remote villages will have cell phones or computers, and they'll even have little use bicycles, to generate power and everything. You're also a author or forthcoming author. Can you talk a little bit more about some of the projects that you're working on?
Oh, thank you. I was meditating at one time, and it started just downloading these stories, and based on universal law. Because if we consider life a game, then every game has its rules or laws. And for us, playing the game of life, those are universal laws. And considering that I came from a very masculine, dominant mindset, being an engineer, I was supposed to be my father's son, and here I am, a woman. And so having that masculine mindset, I really had a shift into accepting the feminine mindset. It has nothing to do with sexuality. It has nothing to do with what gender you are or what preferences you have. But there's the law of gender, because it's the only way the universe can create. You have to have a male and a female, and it has nothing to do with sexuality. That's one of the subtleties that why we're so confused. And why relationships are suffering so much, because we've really lost a grasp of what are we supposed to be doing with each other. So I made a children's story where it just downloaded, and it's called The Seed and the Soil, or The Soil and the Seed. And it's going to be kind of like a fable on the universal law of gender. And I look forward to getting it out soon, either on Kindle or published somewhere.
Wow, that's really exciting. So what about the art for that? Is that something that you'll also do, the art?
I'm going to have to be finding an illustrator. I don't think I'm that talented.
Well, it's funny because in my head, I just saw I saw it illustrated. That's why I asked you about that.
Oh, for sure, definitely. I just don't know how to make dirt interesting.
Well, it's funny because dirt, I go to a little angel church, and a woman was talking about working in a garden, and she works with children in a special needs school. And she was talking about how just the act of touching soil and dirt can actually transform an angry child and calm them down, just like putting their feet into the dirt or the soil. So that kind of triggered that when you talked about that. But the idea of female and male in the universe, for creativity, because it is true that things seem to have, a male and a female, or a yin and a yang, whatever it is that you want to call it. So you've got some workshops coming up. You talk with people online or in person. and you're updating your website. So there's a lot of cool things. You also do different types of readings. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah. Well, playing around, I learned with my shaman. I learned about I'm an angel messenger practitioner. I do tarot cards, angel cards, Akashic records. It's it's just snowballing. It's everything building on itself on the tools. They're called divination tools, and they're just tools that we could use to help us get some clarity, get some discovery and self-realization for myself and my clients. And it's a lot of fun because, it's really funny that when I practice as a life coach, people just seem so much more excited and eager to, oh, it's a reading. And I'm like, okay, it's a reading. So it's really fun because we're connecting on a soul level, and it's not to say that one person is more special. It's just maybe some people have more aptitude for it, kind of like a dog has special hearing. They just have that bandwidth. They can hear that. And it's the same for us. We all have these abilities to develop these gifts and these other senses to gain access and perspective on what we're trying to discover about ourselves.
I think that's really important because we all have that innate ability to connect, and so many of us just close it off and unlock it. I know personally that I was very, very closed. When I first started going to my little angel church, I remember they always with all of these people say, we can't read you because you're too closed. Because I was blocked, I was protecting myself. And it was very interesting as I've developed my own relationship with the source and divine, how I'm opening up, a little bit more. So that's something that you can help people with, is to help them to realize who they are. And I think it's interesting that so many people, they do ask that, who am I? What is my purpose? Why am I here? And when we're little, it's interesting because we're so much more open, and we actually still have a memory or something, and we have a better idea of who we are, and we're so joyful and free. And then, of course, we go to school and all that seems to get shut down. That's, and even today, now they medicate you to the point where, they want to get you to conform. But that's a whole nother topic. So if somebody wants to work with you, what's the best way for them to connect?
Oh, well, right now, for me, it's either my phone, 954-520-0501, or my email, fieldperfecthealth@gmail.com. And my website could also give you access to connecting with me. That's fieldperfecthealth.com. And for now, that's what we got going on. Pretty soon we'll be opening up our pages where we have our workshops lists and the de-stressing kits that we're putting together for people, so they can at least start getting an introduction on how do you unload and let go of the daily stress that you have, and just create a beautiful moment in the now, in the present, in your comfort of your own privacy of your own bathtub, with candles and a meditation to download, and maybe even a little divination tool or stress spell to help you get to what your next step is.
Wow, a de-stressing kit. That sounds like fun. Could you repeat your phone number again?
It's sure, 954-520-0501.
Okay. I just didn't catch the 954. That's why I wanted you to repeat it. So fieldperfecthealth.com. And before I let you go, is there anything else that you'd like to share with everyone listening?
I'm just very grateful for this opportunity to meeting you, Tamara. And I just am grateful. I just want to keep making this world a brighter place, and everybody has the right to know that they're brilliant light workers in their own right. And the more we connect to that, the better this whole world will be.
That's so beautiful. So everyone, if you want to connect with Claudia, feelperfecthealth.com. You've got her phone number. You've got her email address. So connect with Claudia. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Everyone, this is Tammy Patzer. Go make it a beautiful day.
You've been listening to Women Innovators with Tammy Patzer. To learn more, please go to womeninnovatorsradio.com. And please do subscribe and share to spread the big messages and big missions to change the world.